So hi everyone, just wanted to introduce an amazing woman that's created an incredibly successful online business, and her name is Landria Onkka. And I think the most amazing part of Landria and her story is the pre-online business world that she was dealing with and part of. She has an incredible background, incredible story. And I think that we've actually met on several occasions. We've met this year. We've actually known each other for a very short time, yet we feel like we've known each other for many, many years. And every time we connect, the conversation flourishes, and it's just we're back and forward. But we've already spoken 40 minutes prior to this conversation that we're having today, because we find so many things to talk about: the passion, the excitement, and we've got so much in common. And I feel like I have an amazing friend here as a result of our meetings. So we met in London, correct?
Yeah.
What was called a Momentum Day, which is an incredible event that we do for our online business. We were participating and invited to, you would call it an exclusive event with respect to our online businesses. We actually reached certain milestones within our business, and we were invited to an event where only 10 people were in attendance, and we had leaders from all around the world that are just excelling in that area come along and deliver education and training to us to take our businesses to another level. That was hugely exciting. So we got to connect there as well. That was like 3 days in a mansion in London.
Yeah, locked up in a mansion with 20 below weather, just eating, drinking, and doing some amazing stuff, work stuff. It was a great experience.
And some amazing people too that have achieved great things in the online world. And that's what was exciting about London. We then headed off to the Dominican Republic. So London was in February. By April, we were in the Dominican, and we spent a week there. I think I was 10 days because I'd flown in from Australia. That was a big trip. And we had an amazing time there. Again, like-minded individuals, high achievers wanting to come together and achieve certain goals. Masterminding for 3 days. That was incredibly powerful.
Having a lot of fun. Yeah. Eating, drinking, and having a lot of fun, and masterminding again.
We might get a bit of a reputation, Landria.
I probably should. I can say that because I know the whole communities, we're never lacking for having a good time within reason. Right? But and then of course we went to Charlotte.
Yes.
For Momentum Day, and once again we got together, and I didn't see you too much, but I got to participate and get to see Trish on stage, speaking to the whole community, and it was pretty awesome. And I think she just tapped into her true talents and told us all how nervous she was, but I would have never guessed it, and it was just amazing. So one awesome woman to another awesome woman, there's no coincidence, and we seem to attract those people to SFM, of course. And so, I mean, we're going to go into my background, of course, but as I shared with you in the 40 minutes we gabbing before we got on, I would really love to just start with you, because I think we just don't really, when we're always interviewing other people, we don't really sort of recap our own journey, of which yours continues. So it'd be really great if you shared that with us again.
I will.
Yeah,
I will. It's awesome. And it's interesting because as a result of that delivery on stage that day, I walked off that stage and I thought, wow, this feels incredible. Even though, as nervous as I was, I couldn't eat all day. I had no breakfast. I visited the toilet about 5 times. I was just incredibly nervous, yet exhilarated when I came off that stage, and I had got through that, and I had broken through some incredible, what would you call it? Breakthrough. I broke through some fears. And I know what your channel is all about, and what your branding is all about is breaking through those fears. And it was all about doing it. At the end of the day, as nervous as I got, as fearful as I was, it
Yeah.
was me making a decision to say, you know what, I'm going to do this regardless of what happens. And what's the worst that can happen to me on stage? What is the worst thing that can, really and seriously? And I was in front of an audience. I knew that that audience would want nothing more than for me to succeed on stage.
Yes.
Right. And I kept telling myself, I'm in amongst friends, I'm in amongst people. There is, even if it was strangers, a room of complete strangers, they would want nothing more than for someone to succeed on stage. They will back them 110%. And that's what I kept telling myself when I was walking on that stage.
You just encompass what I think we're constantly talking about, and that is, and we talk about it, Jerry, and we get so excited about this. We get to watch each other really excel and expand. We talked about expansion before we got on here, and how it's like it's blowing our mind every time we hit this place where we think this is where we're going to be. Something else pushes us, but you just said it. We are a community of people that are willing to break past that fear, and we're in a community that supports it and is not there to criticize you like the world out there. To me, that's really not the real world anyways. The world that is afraid to do that, so we'll criticize it because it sort of, says it's okay for me to stay here because look what happens when they go up on stage, or, somebody faltered or whatever. And it's, so I'm going to stay in my safe place. But the SFM community doesn't think that way. They're like, yeah, go up on stage. We're going to encourage each other to do that. And it's okay if it's not perfect, but yours happen to be perfect. But
it was incredible because one of the co-founders of the company actually gets up on stage and admits that he is incredibly nervous.
Oh, always.
And wasn't that a relief for those in the room, a relief for myself? And I was about to walk on.
Yeah.
I feel all of a sudden that I'm getting a pep talk from a co-founder of an organization.
Well, he messed up. Remember, he completely lost his train of thought and actually said, instead of, trying to, he said, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, well, let's go on to something else. And I think the world is going to just being okay with being human beings and not having to be these perfect things that present something that's not real, that doesn't feel good anymore, and holds us back from really going into that space of...
Doesn't it take the pressure off?
Yeah, it does.
It just takes the pressure off, because when you have somebody that you potentially look towards, they give validation, or when they give, in a sense, I don't like the word permission, but in a way, because we've been sort of brought up in society to sort of, seek approval or seek permission. And then when somebody falters or somebody doesn't do something perfectly and they admit that and they say, you know what, that's okay.
Right.
Just be you.
Right.
Just be you. And in the lead up to that presentation, people knew how nervous I was, and that's really all they said to me, just be you. And that made me feel so much better. And I remember just standing there in this space, and everything that I had learned throughout my journey was to just be still, stay grounded. I closed my eyes for about 5 minutes before going on that stage and just went within, so that I was blocking out everything else that was in that room at that time. And you know what? I could feel the release, the sense of, it wasn't relaxation, but it was just a sense of those nerves sort of subsiding or settling. And I think that's a really important thing to know, is what can I do when you're breaking through some of those fears? What are some tools and techniques that you can put into play? Very practical things that you can do that's just going to give you a sense of security as you take that step. Because in that moment, you can imagine a room full of people, the lights are going on. One of the leaders is stepping up on stage ready to introduce me. The heart's going. What can you do as you are about to launch forward? The fear is so tangible and so there. And so what are the techniques you can do to sort of, help release that?
Well, but what I was going to say is that you will never experience it like that ever again, because once you break through that fear and you went, that was it. I was with you. I was in the bathroom and not eating for that. That was, right?
That's true.
Yeah, and it's like me when of course, when you're videotaping, it's like you can always reshoot, but I actually most of the time don't reshoot some of the worst mistakes I make. And as you see, I've gotten to the point where I after a workout, I'm still sweating, blotting myself because I had such a good idea. And it's like, I got to tell you guys, and I know, I'm sorry, I'm still sweating, no makeup. Sometimes I got black down here.
Me too.
I look at that and I think that's what we want. People want what's your message? They don't care about anything other than, are you giving them something of value? Are you helping them change their lives? That's all they want. And they don't want some perfect programmed, backdrop and all this stuff. They don't care about that stuff. And that's what you delivered. So I would love for you to just go into.
Yes, I will. I had to share that little piece because I know that what you're all about. And I know that that day, I broke through a lot of fears that day. And so let me just sort of I think there are pivotal moments. There are pivotal points in people's lives. And you could call them aha moments. You could call them tragedies. You could call them turning points.
Yeah.
And these are times in your life. You tend to go through chapters in your life. And I know that I've got some very clear, distinct chapters in my life. And there's one pivotal point in my life where life was sort of going along swimmingly. And I share this in the presentation, where I was married in 1993. I had my daughter in 1995. And by 1999, I'd actually received tragic news, which made me a single parent overnight. And that was shocking. It was devastating. And there was, again, we talk about this word fear. There was a whole lot of fear wrapped up in that, because all of a sudden I had this tiny 4-year-old little girl that was then fully dependent on me. And in a way, you bring this sense of having to be two parents to this situation. So you are putting a lot of pressure on yourself to be the husband, or to be the father, and to be the wife, and to be the mother. And you're putting a whole lot of pressure on yourself. And then all of a sudden, everything is sort of wrapped up in that relationship with that little girl. And I know there'll be callers on here, there'll be people listening to this that have been in a very similar situation, whether it's through separation, whether it's through, be through the death of a partner. And you have these children that look to you to be that individual. Then there's a whole lot of added pressure on you, on the one person. And so that's how I felt at that time. And it was like, wow, how am I going to earn an income? What am I going to do? Because at the time I'd made a choice to be an at-home mum. And so I'd given away the full-time job. I had to literally pack up the home because I didn't have the home at the time. I packed the car up. And so I had my car packed with possessions with Emily, and I'll never forget that moment, driving down, again, another pivotal moment, driving down that street and thinking to myself, well, this will be the last time that I see this street. And I remember that clearly, car packed. So I went to my parents' house for emotional support, to have family around me. This was not a very nice time in my life. I had to go to the government for financial support. I had no income coming in at the time. And that was a really tough time. I had to move back in with my parents, and that can be pretty demoralizing. And so I did that for a few years. And the only way that I knew how to start to provide stability was a traditional education. The only way I knew. So I enrolled in a college degree, and because I was a mature student, and I think because maybe they felt sorry for me, I have no idea, they opened up their doors. So the college opened their doors up and said, come on in. So I actually went there, and I failed as a student at school. I dropped out at 15. I was rather rebellious, and I failed in maths and commerce. 25% was, I think, my commerce mark. And yet I went to college with a new perspective and a new vision and a new reason why. Right? We
Motivation.
talk a lot, right?
Yeah, nothing like motivation.
Why?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm doing a degree for commerce degree, accounting. It was a bit of a default situation because some of my work had been in an accounting area or an accounting department. So I defaulted into that. However, all of a sudden I did have a purpose and I did enjoy the flexibility around doing a degree because I could be there part-time. I could do a part-time job and then I could be at home for my daughter. So I did enjoy that process.
Yeah.
I was right on track. Had a mission, had a vision, had a purpose, and had a pathway. Then I got the job.
Oops.
Didn't that change everything? So in my 30s, and I get a graduate accounting position as an accountant, corporate accountant, and I hated it.
Ugh.
I really hated it. I really disliked it. I didn't like the fact that you were stuck in an office for 10 hours a day, that it didn't matter if you had deadlines to meet, you had to be there to meet them. Yeah. I had my daughter, and you can imagine, single parent. I had a daughter going to daycare, before school care, after school care, vacation care, you name it. And I'm the person to bring her up. And yet I am reliant on all these different.
And you just did all of that work and went through all of that achievement, accomplishment. Of course, there's nothing's wasted. And couldn't have found out until you went into that. And that's the thing, that we go through all this not knowing what that world we're going to. There's no testing phase of saying, do I even like that? Is there any point where you can try that to see if you want to put on all that study to get into it? It's like you go through study, then you go out into the world to find out it's something you don't even like. That happens constantly, right? There's no transition into that. It's like school is not accounting, the accounting job. But there's no place there to, like I said, test that and see if that's what you want to do, or there's no flexibility in that. And so you go into this thing after all of that work, and then you hate it.
So
what
true.
happened?
It's so true. And it's interesting because as a point to that, I think that as parents now, we're becoming more and more aware. And I think looking at your children and seeing some of their talents and their abilities and their qualities that they just love doing naturally. Yeah. If you can identify that within them, and then rather than guiding them into a profession that you did as a parent, so many, I was a lawyer, you need to be a lawyer.
Right.
I was an accountant, you need to be an accountant. Rather than doing that, looking at their talents and abilities and just seeing what they could naturally progress to. Very quickly, my daughter was doing acting and the creative arts for many years and loved it. She wanted to be an actress. And so the idea of pursuing that at the time, though, was, I don't know, to get the career at the time. The money wasn't great. The opportunities weren't in abundance. However, she had this talent to be in front of a room. And so there was some guy, all of a sudden she excelled in science in her last year at school. She all of a sudden got 84% in her science exam. And so all of a sudden she sort of discovered this thing that she really, really loved. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, okay, so let's put these things together, the creative arts, the performing out the front of a room, the science, which you've just naturally navigated towards. Let's put those together. And she's in teaching now. She's teaching science and getting and loving that and enjoying that. So God. It's really important. So here I am in this corporate accounting role, really disliking it. It was a very toxic environment. In 2005, February, I decided to leave. I couldn't do this anymore. I turned up to daycare. Emily was crying. It was late. They were packing up. I was late picking her up. And I just said, I can't be doing this anymore. So I resigned with heaps of fear, because I lied to everyone in that office. I told the bosses and the people that I worked with that I had another job to go to, because you're always taught you don't go to one job until you've got another. Always taught that. Even my parents, same thing.
Yes.
Heaps of fear, no real plan. And within a year of me leaving that job, I think it was 6 or 8 senior managers on the senior executive team were fired and escorted off the premises. So it indicates the toxic environment. It's indicative of what I was working within that organization, what I had to report to. And so that was very evident. So I never, ever, and I've never been back to a full-time job ever since, as a result of being forced into that situation, which was the best push I'd ever had. I decided to start my own real estate investment consulting business. And I did that because I was in a very fortunate position. While I was in the job, I discovered the power of going to the bank and borrowing money based on a wage. So if you are in a job, you can think of it as leverage with respect to, I'm earning as a graduate accountant $35,000 a year. But if I go to the bank, they'll give me $350,000 based on that $35,000 a year. What can I do with that $350,000? Right? So that the learning about leverage and the learning about the ability to go to a bank based on the wage, it might even be a very small wage that you're earning, but you could start the process of either starting your own business, starting your own at-home business, starting your own investment portfolio based on the fact that you're earning a wage. I think that's the biggest advantage of being in a full-time position with a full-time salary. A lot of people do say within the online business, do I just give the job up and start this online business? You have to really consider that, because I still believe that the job gives you access to certain things, and bank money, bank finance
certainly pulls some pressure off too, because if as a business owner, we were both business owners for a considerable amount of time now, we understand just how serious that is and what it takes. And once again, until you are in that position, nobody can teach you or tell you what it's going to be like. And nobody wants to believe that we don't escape challenges in life, and that there's no place you go to, and whether it's internet marketing or whatever, there's no place you go to that isn't going to constantly throw you challenges. Somebody said the other day, now, the leaders, you guys are sitting pretty, and like, we're doing the money, we're doing all that stuff, we're expanding, it's pretty exciting, but like we said, then my campaign gets shut down for 2 weeks, something goes wrong, and it's a business, it's a real challenge to continually be on it. And so, as you know, and because I want you to share the real estate, you went into that, it was going in well, and what happened with that.
So, absolutely.
The responsibilities.
So we're talking sort of 2005, and I was delivered, somebody sent me one book in the mail. It literally came by post, this one book. And I read this book, and it was all about personal development and like the size of your success depends upon the size of your belief. And what on earth is a belief? It's a collection of thoughts you keep thinking every single day, and then all of a sudden I go, who is this person? What is this book? And what is this all about? And it's like all of a sudden my whole world just opened up. And they say that the power of one book, it was the power of this one book that actually showed a whole nother pathway and a whole nother direction. And it was so incredibly powerful. So it was 2006 that I traveled to America, and I saw this person deliver a presentation on stage. It was a workshop. I took my daughter with me, and it was so incredibly powerful that I saw a mentor, somebody on the stage. She'd built a real estate portfolio to $19 million, and we were the same age. We had a same background as an accountant. We were both single mums, single parents. And I looked at her in that moment. I thought, I want to be like that. You have these moments that's where I want to be. That's what I want to do. So real estate all of a sudden was the thing that I wanted to really, really pursue. And it took me on a 12-year journey. and in America, which is a really rare thing for an Australian who is based in Australia to make a decision to actually build a real estate investment portfolio here in America. But the opportunities were in abundance. And it was just prior to GFC, and we all know the effect and the impact of GFC. And all of a sudden there was an abundance of foreclosed properties available. And so my vision was to introduce Australians who were completely unaware of markets, real estate markets that were available here in America. They're just not available in Australia.
Oh, wow.
Pre and post foreclosure markets. You've got tax lien markets. You've got so many different real estate markets you can literally specialize in. And I picked an area, and I picked it based on the fact that I will spend most of my time thousands of miles away. I picked it based on the fact that I want it to be very easy for my property managers to handle them while I was thousands of miles away. So there was a whole strategy around that. And I picked safe, affordable housing, single family homes, one house, one property, one piece of land, to make it easier for everyone. And I've stuck to that niche area. I've stuck to it, and people have come to me and said, do you want to do multifamily? Do you want to do commercial? Do you want to? Nope. I've stuck with that strategy, and it was the best decision ever. And for Australian investors, it was the best decision ever. Awesome. And I could go on about all of that, but I think the purpose of this call is really just to share with people that it takes a journey. It takes time. It was slow for me. It had so many challenges wrapped up in it. And I won't even begin to share some of those challenges. However, you're right. It's how you get over those challenges and how you move through them and how you, in some cases, push your way through them.
Yes.
And so as a result of that, what was happening, the business was getting stronger, the demand was getting stronger, and the investors were becoming more and more demanding. And what I was finding was I was attracting investors that were only interested in one thing, and that was the bottom line.
Yeah.
They were only interested in what's called the ROI, which is the return on your investment. Mm-hmm. And I was becoming more and more distressed about that because the human factor was not acknowledged. It wasn't valued. My time was starting to not be valued. And there was not this, I was getting to a point where, it's them again. They're phoning me again. You know, when you see that phone and you go, and your heart and your stomach both are in misalignment.
Like a bill collector call, right? So I face it.
Really?
It's not going away. Yeah.
It's Sunday. And actually, this was a bit of a pivotal point as well that I've actually not shared, is I was at a spiritual fair on a Sunday and I was just enjoying the moment. It was a really huge fair and it was fun and there was a lot of different stuff being sold there and there was all these stories and there was fortune tellers and there was psychics and I was just having a really awesome time. The next thing, I get this phone call from a very aggressive real estate investor, and I took the call even though it was Sunday, and she was very demanding and very obsessive about demanding these numbers and me to be very transparent about these numbers, and nearly borderline accusing me of not being transparent and not, like, really questioning my integrity. And so that was it. I burst into tears, and actually my ex-business partner, Chris, was there at that very moment. And she said to me, wow, you need to do things differently.
Wow.
And that's when I thought, you know what? I do. I really need to do things a little differently. And that's when I was introduced to the possibilities of creating an online business. And that was 2.5 years ago now.
Wow.
And
but you haven't stepped away from real estate. It's not like,
because I love it.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about real estate. It's part of now, because a 12 to 15 year journey, it becomes part of your DNA. It becomes part of your identity. It becomes part of who you are, it becomes your hobby. Like, you love it.
But you love it. So and I think most people are looking for change out of things that they don't love. But what I always remind them is that you just don't lose all that and oh, I'm giving up this. For me, it was investment banking. It's gone. It's never gone. I am now using it in the most powerful way, even though that what I was doing I would never go back to. But there's always aspects of those careers that you love that make you an expert, make you really good at something, so you never lose it. In fact, like you said, you bring all of that experiences, and with the partnerships and all the distrust and all the things that people have done to you along the way is part of the positive experience for expansion again. So you don't go, oh, it was horrible, whatever. I say, we'll never do that again. And now I protect myself, or now I share it with other people so they don't have to go through things. Now I know how to write contracts better. And that's what entrepreneurs do. They use it. It's valuable. It's not failure. It's not something painful, but life's painful. But you use it, and you haven't given up. You're passionate, but you've transformed it into something now you love, with still going to have challenges. But yeah, you've brought all that forward. I think that's what people think, that they have to, be all in this way or that, like quit the job or what, and what if you transform it and use it, pull it, and then, separate when you need to and the things you need to.
That's worded so beautifully. It really is. And I'm listening to that, and that's exactly what's happened, because there's parts of that business that I disliked.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's just fallen away. So those demanding investors have fallen away, because the people that are attracted are the ones that are aligned to who I am and my values now, because now I'm clear about why that was all going on. Why was I attracting these people? Because I wasn't clear about my journey. I wasn't clear about my values.
Yes.
I wasn't clear about who I wanted in my business. And real estate can be a funny beast.
Yeah.
I call it, it's a beast. And it can be funny, and it can attract people that really just want the bottom line. However,
hey, girlfriend, I was in the financial world. It's bottom line's always money, and you've got to decide. And they're not all bad people, but again, what happens is we feel so privileged to have the money to be able to use it to accomplish our goals, that we're willing to compromise ourselves to get that, to reach the goals, because the ultimate goal is going to be good. But like you said, we have to decide if we're going to accept that. And I learned, like you're better off walking away from it, and then the right investors will come, because there are right investors. There are good people out there that do care more about than just the bottom line. Of course, they're in it to make money too. Nothing wrong with that. So yeah, and that's that other thing. It's not all or nothing. And as long as right. So I used to tell my girlfriends all the time who were dating really jerks, just real jerks all the time. We've all been through that. And they all said, Landria, you don't have these problems. You always attract the greatest guys. How do you do it? I said, no, I attract the jerks too. I just don't date them.
I love that.
That's a concept, right? And so we're afraid. We're afraid of the opportunity to say no, because we think nothing else is going to come along, and that's when something else will come along. Because if your space is taken up with the nasty people or the bad investors or not what you love, there's no space for the good things, the things that you desire to come in, the higher frequencies, the better stuff, the better job, the better boss, the better relationship. We're so afraid of letting that go. And if you think about it, it's like, what, you're afraid of what? And change is difficult. And especially you got to pay the bills too. That's always exactly.
Yeah. And that's true. You do need to find a way to, as they say, put food on the table to pay those bills when it comes down to it. And so that did right. And so you appreciate and you be grateful for that. However, it still causes this challenge between your gut and your heart. You feel that discomfort, and whenever you start to feel that discomfort, there is a problem. So you're not in alignment. There's something wrong. There's something not right. And so that's what I was getting, and that's what I was feeling. And what happens when that happens is your health then declines. You have problems with health. that was going on actually. And it's interesting now, this is just revealing stuff for me that happened even during that journey for health, because I was actually rushed to hospital quite a few times actually. And I've only just remembered that. Can you believe that? I've only just now remembered that. That is incredible that I have blocked that out. During that journey, there are so many times, and there was one time, because we actually live in one of my houses, we live next door to a hospital, and I actually got rushed in there, and that was a gut issue. And they would never find it. They would never find it. They'd put me on a drip, and they'd have me in overnight. They'd never find it. The tests they'd run, and it was all fine. And then they'd just end up sending me home every time. So what was going on? That's incredible. I only just remembered that. That's part of the story.
And there is a direct correlation between what's going on. Is it your gut? Is it your feet and hips are not moving forward? Your gut feeling, your head, and they say, your neck, where's your direct? And I mean, I never even thought about that either, but your life is very literal. So that's amazing, isn't it? But you don't have any of those problems now, do you?
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
What an insight, actually. Yeah. Just now, that's just come to light. So during that part of my journey, health was being impacted. Isn't it interesting when you sit in situations like this and when you discuss and you're just in this free flow, how all of a sudden things appear, and things, all of a sudden you remember certain things, certain parts of your journey. And this is important for your viewers, that when they start to not understand what the value is in their journey, sit down with someone and have that conversation with someone, and things highlight themselves, insights come in just a very simple conversation, just like we've had here. That's really powerful for me.
Well, and what we've been doing, and we're so very focused as, natural entrepreneurs, into really going after what we want and using all these tools. And I think a lot of people are not trained to do that. They come from a corporate world or a job or just trying to pay the bills. And they sort of forget that, everything is connected. Everything is connected. There's nothing that's isolated. And if you're going to a job you hate, that you don't come over to learn internet marketing and solve all those problems. You're still going to have to go through it and not focus on just that, once again, making the money and all that other stuff that we all want, but expanding and saying, I need to be happy. My gut, my heart, my brain, everything has to feel good. Is this feeling good? And it's not without its challenges. We all have to do stuff we don't love. Talking about, like you said, the bigger purpose. Like for you, it was like, okay, I have to pay the bills and I'm grateful for these investors, so I have to put up with this stuff. And in life, we accept that. It's like, okay, well, and everybody will reinforce it. Well, Trish, I mean, you should be grateful you have investors. So then you keep putting up with it and you go down that road, because life, we reinforce that it's okay to be unhappy, to sacrifice this part to get that part. And people are tired of that now, and it's not working anymore. Right?
That's such a powerful thing. It's so powerful. And how you listen, because you're listening to my journey, you're listening to my story, and you're identifying with the challenges, and you're making those connections as well, which is really, really powerful. Really powerful. And I think it's important what you say about, and we're coming back to this values in your journey. The value is in the qualifications that you've acquired over time, or it could be the experience that you've acquired in your job, or it could be the things that you do on the weekends, in your social time. All of that comes together to create something within an online business, to provide value to the world. And what we're all about is, well, how do we monetize that? We're all about, okay, we can monetize this value, okay? Because this real estate journey that I've traveled for the last 15 years is so relevant to so many people out there. What I did do in the first 12 months of creating an online business is parceling up my knowledge, my intellectual property, my skills, my experiences, my stories, good and bad, parceling that up, and putting it on video, literally a tripod and an iPhone sitting in my lounge room, and recording 14 foundational videos. And I called it the 7 Steps to Buying USA Real Estate. And then it was a training package, $495. First of all, $47. It was a sales funnel. For those that don't understand what a sales funnel is out there, it's a way, a process of attracting people through the online world into your business. And you can charge them something, like $47, which I did, which gave them some case studies. It's just filmed, rehabs done locally, things that I've been doing anyway. I filmed them and then recorded them. I wasn't even on the camera, and gave them a little workbook and $47. And then the next step for them is $495. And they get these, 7 steps, these 14 foundational videos, which is so, so powerful. Yes. Because for a start, what it does do is it fills a gap in my business, my real estate business, because it educates them. They, in their own home, can actually go through those videos, firstly decide, is this for me? Secondly, it says, oh, okay, so now I know a lot more. Now I'm going to write down the questions in that accompanying workbook. I'm going to write them down. And then when I get to Trish, because that's the next step for me is Trish, then I'm going to ask those questions. So rather than having a consultation with them for 3 hours where I charge $7.95, they get onto a training package where they pay $4.95, which is cheaper for them, yet they have access to all my knowledge.
Yes.
Access to everything. And you come away with educated investors.
Yes.
Massive potential, massive. And then the ultimate flow-on effect is having educated investors for all the team members here, property managers, insurance brokers, etc., etc. Really powerful. That was the first 12 months of creating and developing an online business. My next step was I was so impressed with these tools that are provided by this community. Yeah. So impressed with the education and the training, because that's what got me online. Thought, you know what, my next online business is going to be promoting that. And that's what we call, as we know, an affiliate marketing program, where you can actually promote somebody else's product and you can get commission from that process as well. Yeah. So that's it in a nutshell, really. That's the journey. Well,
so I want to just sort of back up a little bit, because you just triggered something as you were talking about. So we're so programmed to believe that work is primarily, for most people, not what they love, and stressful, and comes with, just a sort of like survival kind of mode. Even when you start out loving it, when you stop loving it, people just feel trapped after long periods of time. They feel like they can't get out, or, and then I've noticed when they go into the internet marketing training and that, they go into that business mode, and they still are separating in their head anything enjoyable you don't make money on, and anything you make money on you have to get and put up, and they're afraid to offer people something that they actually love doing and charge for it. There's this disconnect in their head that, well, I like photography, or I have a couple members that are artists. I said, why aren't you sharing this and then charging this? Oh, well, I said, wait a minute. This is value you're bringing, but because it's in the areas that you actually love, you have this disconnect that it's wrong to ask for money for that, because you actually love doing it, because we're so trained to hate what we do to make money.
That's crazy, right?
Isn't it? And I keep trying to direct people and go, what do you love? This training and that go together. What a concept. And people are still having a tough time with that. And then automating that, like you have, and still using everything you had in a way that's enjoyable. It's just so unknown turf to us that it takes reprogramming to get people to realize everything works. It's still going to be work. It's still going to take effort. There'll still be challenges, but all those components of making money, bringing value, doing what you love, pulling everything in that you did part-time might actually be something you could make money doing. And so herein lies this whole sort of like, it's a reprogramming, I think, of opening up these doors in, like I said, this community that goes, it's okay to go into that space. It's okay to ask for money, for things you love. And people especially are happy. I don't know about you. Of course, we're all happy to write a check for something that somebody, I'll write any check. If they're going to change my life and show me things that are value, it's an education. I'll pay any amount of money for that. Right? And that's where we are. And again, people separate that. They'll go pay literally hundreds of thousands. I know people that are in debt for educations before they ever make any money, and then go into, like you said, go into accounting and hate it.
Exactly.
And you're in debt before you even started your career. We accept that, but then people are afraid to educate, to pay a fraction, like one semester. They wouldn't even cover one semester at the college I went to. For the entire education that I got for our internet training, and I'm going, and of course it's a business expense for me, and I'm looking at this thinking, we've got to switch this thinking.
That's
this is
true.
Education and a business platform at the same time with people like us who are going to show them the ropes, help them get past that limiting thinking. And so this herein is the new earth that's starting to, having a tough time, but switching gears and going, okay, wait a minute. This is
okay.
Right?
So let me share something very, very briefly that's very, very relatable for people at home. And in Charlotte, I shared a room with a woman from Germany. She was there. She's part of our Black Mastermind, which you're going to talk about a little bit later. And I shared a room with her, and she is incredibly disciplined with her food, her eating habits, her exercise, and she's incredibly trim. And
I was going to say, it shows. It shows.
Incredibly trim, right? And I'm not so incredibly trim, or I'm not so incredibly disciplined with certain things through the week, right? And I'm staying with her, and she was incredible. And what was happening as a result of being around her, those habits were starting to rub off on me, because I didn't want to be the one ordering dessert when she was eating grilled shrimp salad, or, and so you tend to follow suit, and you do the same thing, literally as a result of hanging around people that are disciplined, committed, and they know a different way of life. So there's a story in that as well, a moral in that as well. Now, what was interesting as a result of this, I admired it so much that I said to her, would you like to coach me? And she goes, I don't have the qualifications. I don't have the, really, I've never done that before. Really? Do you want? I said, I would love you to coach me. You demonstrate, you walk the talk. I don't care about qualifications. I don't care about previous stuff. I see the result. I see you are it. And I want to be coached by you. So she went, oh, that's okay. Let's do that. But you're in Australia. I'm in Germany. You're going to be in America for a while. How is that going to work? Oh, of course, internet. We've got the tools. We've got the way of doing. Brilliant. Okay, let's do that. So the next thing, she comes back. She's now got a Facebook business group with 25 members.
Wow.
That all want the same thing. We're all very similar in our levels. They're just like me, that needs that kick to just get going. I need to lose 10 kilos, which I think is about 20 pounds here in America. And I need that kickstart. And the majority of the people are the same. She doesn't have to have medical qualifications or a physio or personal training qualifications. She's
doing
created an environment. And now in like 2 weeks, she's now, that's a potential online business.
Yes. Because she's good at it. And so we're told we have to have all these qualifications. Qualifications is, are you living it, doing it? Can you, how many times have you gone into a gym and like, this is the person that's going to train me? I mean, I'm in better shape than they are, and it's like, I want the woman my age who's ripped, I went, now I probably don't want to work out 8 hours a day like she does, but the whole point is, like you said, that's a qualification for me. And we have so many people out there making a ton of money as coaches, and the only thing that they were was trained to be coaches. And none of them are living the lives that they're
doing it.
Yes. So I say, I qualify people. I want to know, and as we did here today, I want to know your life. I want to know what you've been through. I want to know your triumphs, and I don't want to hear the BS. Everything was great, and I'm this big successful. Because a success story always comes with the challenges. And this is what I always want to tell people is like, get ready for that. It's going to make you great. That's going to put you a cut above. Good. Bye-bye to the people that quit. That just lessened the playing field. And the opportunities are huge right now in the space that we're in. Absolutely huge, because like you just said, she can come in and teach health and fitness in a way that doesn't pull her away from her job. She can shoot videos or give tips or say, this is my schedule, this is what I eat, and here's what
exciting.
It's exciting.
She loves it. She likes it. Oh, is this all there is? Because she just lives it every day.
Yeah.
Everything. She measures her food. She's got apps that help her. She's got recipes.
I didn't realize this. So she's working hard. So that's the other thing. You see this beautiful woman walking around. She's got a rocking body. And I'm thinking, I was like, oh, she's one of those natural, people, middle-aged, skinny people. No. Now that's that. So that's that fallacy that things come easy. And that's somebody who has wealth or somebody who's successful or skinny or fit. It's coming easy for them. It doesn't exist. It does.
No. And
we all have certain natural abilities that, yes, excel over others, but everybody has that lane or that gift. We all come equal playing field. You just got to find that place where, yes, you got to find it and do it and not try to be somebody else. If you're not a fitness buff, just because it's popular, you don't teach it. You teach what you're good at,
That's
and if you're not, you learn it and you go on that journey like you did with real estate. You learned it, you went through the school of hard knocks, but you love it. You love it. And now you're passionate about it enough to keep it up, because even though you're, a successful internet entrepreneur now, you're still, that world's still very much part of who you are. And you're using this now to be even greater with that. And avoid all the stuff you hated with that interaction with people that just didn't appreciate you. It's just, this doesn't get any better for me. We've talked about, where are you? You're in the United States now, and talking to me in Atlanta, and you're up north, and you're from Australia, and I'm thinking of moving overseas, and it's not going to stop any of this from happening.
I love it. I love
it too. There's only one question all of us ever ask when we go someplace. Is there an internet connection?
Yes.
Oh, look at the view. Yeah, that's great. Is there an internet connection?
I love that. It's so true.
Because I can find beaches all over. Yeah, I can find beaches all over the world. I need one with an internet connection.
Do you know what? It's funny because as much as cruises are lovely, cruises are a little bit out of because the internet connection is lousy, but everywhere else, good. Is there a good internet connection?
Yeah, can't go on a boat. Sorry, not going on a boat. Not unless it's one of those that cruise down the river,
direct satellite access to the room, That's funny.
So I love it, and I think today, because we've spent so much time on this, I think we should do a part 2.
I do,
with my journey, because I think we need to just. This has just been so great.
It's awesome.
And I think so. And just to continue the discussion with your journey, I have seen you in the short period of time we've known each other transform incredibly and really find your space. And it's ever evolving. And I think people have to come to terms with that. That's what life's about. It's always the journey. Embrace that, because if you embrace it, you won't have to keep getting the painful lessons that are going to continually come around, which is for our good, that we're supposed to break through. Because, why do I keep experiencing this? Because you haven't broken through what you're supposed to learn, that things don't come easy, that you're going to have to put in work, you're going to get out of your comfort zone. And when you do that, those lessons they're going to go away. You did it. Now you can go on to something else. and progress, and it just gets better and bigger. And I think we need to embrace all of that. That is the biggest challenge, is to embrace the change, embrace the scary stuff. The ego wants answers. The ego wants to know, if I do this, what is this? How much am I going to make? When am I going to make it? Guess what? You get to decide what are you going to do to make that happen. You have that kind of control, and you've always gone down that path of embracing that, and the supposed tragedies that you dealt with threw you into a world you'd have never experienced before.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. And you know what I said on that presentation was the biggest transformation and the biggest change, the biggest breakthroughs come as a result of those adversities. So those big tragedies, those, you know, unfortunate moments that do happen in your life, the biggest transformation and the biggest direction happens as a result of those. And I think that's what's really important for people to know and understand. And the more of this journey that they embark on, then the more they will get to understand that. I had two situations. I had a business partnership split that happened during my investment real estate career business. And what happened there was devastating to me. I had a field partner based in America, and he all of a sudden set up business with a client of mine behind my back and launched a competition business. And I was based in Australia, and I thought my whole business was falling apart. And it wasn't until about a month later, and I was devastated and thinking, this is the end. This is the end of my business. The next thing, people were actually coming to me directly from America and saying, that's okay, we'll deal with you direct. We'll come to you direct. Yes. You can make the profit direct. Oh, okay. Or as a result of that, I had a more profitable, stronger business that I had more control over.
Yes.
Then I had the business split that happened during my online business, which was in March of this year, which created complete upheaval for me for my online business. But now I know, as a learning from that incident, that now as a result of the business partner walking away from the business, I now have a more profitable, stronger.
Are you getting the message, Trish?
Yes.
There's a pattern here. You can stand alone.
I'm understanding that, though. What's important is, because people will hang their heads low and say, why does it always happen to me? I don't understand, right?
Yes.
Well, understand it's happening for a reason, because that's falling away. I was told by a woman, you know, when you think it's falling apart, it's actually falling into place.
Yes. And it's funny when they say it's always happening to me, they're not going, what's always happening? There's a pattern. Hello. There's no chaos in the universe.
No,
and we are totally in control, and we always think it's happening to me when we are happening.
Yes.
We're happening. And so you are now at the best possible place where it's exploding, and you stood alone on that stage.
Yes.
And that was pretty powerful, and it was wonderful. And I think you're in your lane now, girl. And I'm just so proud of you. I'm so happy to be a part of your journey. And when we get together on these calls, like, we have to go. We should probably start recording, but
that's true.
Yeah, we exchange so much great information, and this is the power. This is the power of what we do. Is, you know, as CEOs, we were always on our own, and we don't have to be on our own anymore, yet we have more control than we ever did over our businesses and our lives, which is pretty darn exciting.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I think we've run out of steam. I think that I'm really looking forward to your journey. I'm really excited and I think we need to dedicate the full hour to your journey, because
we got stuff happening and it's pretty huge. So we'll explore that in part 2.
I agree. And I just actually let people know, Landria, as a result of this, like they've heard the word Black member, Black retreat, just give a little bit of insight into what that is and who we are as a result of that, so that we'll follow up again with part 2. But it's nice just to give people a bit of it.
And I think that's a really good point for us to, cover is really the Black membership. And I look at everything as, people go back for master's and graduate degrees. And when you're going through life and you really have a lot of experience under your belt, for me, we all have to start from scratch within this training and learn all the basics. But there are levels within the training that take you to a completely different place that is more or less what Trish and I talk about. And that is, if you just want to learn internet marketing to complement whatever you're doing, that's great. And there's some great training levels for that. Elite's one of them. But if you're really looking for something much bigger, you can see the discovery that we have gone on working with 7- and 8-figure earners who sit next to you and say, not how can you, do tracking better on your campaigns, which we get that anyways. I mean, we have access to all the highest level. Is that what do you want to do with your life? And we spend a lot of time on that and pulling that business together to say, they are all one and the same. Your life is your business, your family, what you do. It's all one thing, just like, this planet and one energy functions as just individual expressions of something really beautiful. And if we don't treat our lives that way, for me, it was a no-brainer to say, I've got to do this. I've got to take it to the highest level. I deserve it. It's an investment in me as a business owner. It didn't even think twice about that. The education and what I was getting for it is invaluable. And I think, people go to Tony Robbins and other wonderful speakers in that, and really, they get all of the training, but there's no business platform that you get that we do. And I have to tell you something, being on the Black member level, and now being leaders and getting to, train other people and getting opportunities now presented to us as the high level members, not from a corporate standpoint where you have this political garbage going on. This is a completely different ballgame. It's the kind of ownership and attention and rewards you get for all the right reasons in a community that's very spiritually minded, not in a cult kind of way. But and so I always tell people, invest in you. It's not just the education. You're investing in a business. You're investing in a lifestyle. And also I look at what I now have that I didn't expect, not only from what I was as an investment banker, but talking to business owners who have no clue what we do and realize the power of what we're learning is huge, and people out there are not doing it. They're maybe learning from other platforms and they get the tools. We take it to a completely different level, and it encompasses so many things that the power of this, it's like you were saying, go out and be a coach and not having to be the expert or take all these classes or stuff. It's beyond what you can possibly imagine until you get into it and realize that it encompasses just about everything in your life that's truly important. So again, the higher you go, the more you get with the serious people and the more experienced they are, and the more high level training on top of everything else. And it's up to you to do whatever you want with that. So
it's true, because when I reflect on my real estate journey, the only reason I got to go international and to create such an incredible business was as a result of masterminding. That's meeting with people that are doing exactly the same sort of journey. Yes. And that's the only, because I had inside information. I could be on the ground with somebody. I could fly into any city around America and I could get research from those people just by driving the streets.
Yes.
With people that are in the same game as me, because we were masterminding with like-minded high achievers. Again, I keep saying that because that's what this level is all about.
Yes.
Now, I know because of that experience, if I want to be the best at this business, then I need to be all in with respect to the masterminding, the access to leaders, the access to people, exactly what you were saying. It's so powerful because you're getting the over-the-shoulder direct attention from people that are already doing it, and you just like following in those footsteps and learning more, and then finding your own space, but getting the advice on how to monetize you and your value and your journey. It's so powerful.
Well, and I mean, people always say you get what you pay for, and it's really true. It's like, let's not be naive out there. I mean, Tony Robbins and those guys, they charge a fortune. There's a reason why. And what it does, it eliminates the people who don't take it seriously, who want something for nothing. So they're going to go buy the cheaper programs, and that's great for them. That's what they're going to get. If you want to learn for the best, you got to be all in, and the return is huge on that. So I think people forget that if they are willing to commit, that commitment financially and time-wise and everything else, it really, again, pushes you like you did with school. There's no dropping out this time, right? That you had to do it. You were money, and you had a daughter you had to take care of. It pushes you to go to that level that you never expected. And if that's the level you want to be at, you got to play with the big guys who are doing it. And they're not going to teach just anybody. They're going to teach the people that are fully committed, and that's who goes into the Black membership. We're all in, or we wouldn't have spent the money or the time or the dedication. And that's part of the program is that. Learning the best to become the best. So
that's it. That's it. And I'm glad that we just sort of shared that with people, because I think it's really important, because they're listening and they're thinking, oh, that's great. So what is that? How do I be part of that? And I want some of that. And and if you're even listening to this part of this video, there's something that
you haven't fallen asleep yet.
Exactly. There is.
These girls can talk, man. These girls can talk. Yeah.
It's like, come and be part of our team, right?
And so that's the other thing too, is when I get people contacting me, I say, when you show your commitment to me, I will be on that level of commitment that I have achieved to welcome you. And you got to do the work first, right? You don't walk into surgery if you've taken a biology class. You can't be a surgeon. And nobody wants you working on them either, so unless you're a frog. And that's not a good place for a frog to be either. So, again, we have to be realistic about this. And if that's the level that you want to be at, you can achieve it. And that's the beauty. You don't have to be somebody who has a PhD or a master's or have run a business before. And that's the beauty. From all walks of life and all educational backgrounds and cultures are in those Black memberships.
I know.
And that's what's so amazing. Yeah, some people who haven't finished school are in there and doing extremely well.
Yep.
Well, so it's exciting. It's exciting.
It's very exciting. I think we should close up now.
Let's close it up, man.
We'll exit out now, because we could keep going forever. Even though I say that we've exhausted everything, no, we always find some gas in the tank. Right?
Part two.
So I just want to thank you for sharing, this space, because I think it's really important that it's been such a good conversation.
Thank you for sharing your story. You really don't do that very much. And I love hearing that, because, people forget that we're all coming from the same space that they are. And it's a challenge. So thank you so much. And you're in such a great place now. And it's so exciting to see that. I can't wait till the next chapter. There's always a next chapter, right?
That's exciting, right?
Yeah. Thanks so much, Trish.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.